So, do you guys remember in Ghosts and Goblins those little red devil pieces of shit that like swoop around and kill you like every single
Oh,
time you see them?
oh, you know their conceptual names too.
Well, anyway, for some reason, Capcom decided, hey, you know that guy? Let's give him his own game series. For some reason. So,
That would be like giving Paratroop his own game.
yeah, pretty much, actually.
Was anybody else trying to think of an actual paratrooper game at the moment? I was like, wait a minute, that's actually no, it's not. I'm actually drawing a blank.
Nope.
But
That'd be like giving Tails his own way.
Oh. But anyway, so the series that he got, the specific demon is called Firebrand. I guess like he's part of a species or whatever. I don't care. The Capcom doesn't care. Story isn't super important. Although the game wants you to think the story is important because this intro is 5 minutes long. No, I'm not joking. But anyway, this is Gargoyle's Quest series. Gargoyle's Quest 1 came out on the Game Boy. Gargoyle's Quest 2 came out on the NES, and the third game, which is called Demon's Crest, instead of Gargoyle's Quest 3, because consistency is
Rambo.
bad. That came out on the Super Nintendo, and this is the game that we're going to be playing, mostly just because out of the three of them, it's the best. So, yeah.
I've only heard a few things of the Gargoyle Quest series. It's Demon's Quest everybody talks about the most. In fact, I didn't even realize there was a Gargoyle's Quest 2.
I didn't know that there was a Gargoyle's Quest 2 for a long time either. It's not that 1 and 2 are particularly bad games. They're just archaic and kind of clunky. Although the translation...
It's almost like they're on the original Game Boy.
But the translation is fantastic. You guys...
Fantastic as in Ted Woosley, or...
Fantastic as in they barely knew what they were doing, and it is hilarious. So...
Gotcha.
So, yeah. You're short of vials. What?
This devil is happy and...
Actually, it might be worse than the original Ghosts and Goblins.
I don't know, that's a pretty low bar.
There's about as many typos, I think, actually.
Ghosts and Goblins also only has, like 4 screens of
3
text?
screens, I think, yeah.
Yeah, although those 4 screens probably need the most proofreading out of any NES game.
Oh, you put it into a Microsoft Word document, the whole program fucking erupts in flames.
The hell are you?
Allegedly. Can't test that for myself. But why did they think Firebrand, or in Japan, Red Armor, was important enough to get his own game?
Well, I mean...
he just fucking pantsed him.
I mean, he is the most memorable thing about Ghosts and Goblins, let's be fair.
No, I think the most memorable thing about Ghosts and Goblins is the getting killed music.
And the game over music.
Yeah.
And the typos.
Well, I do want to say that I am glad that they did give him the games, because I really grew to enjoy Demon's Crest. And for one thing, if you want to get into the Gargoyle games,
why does this guy have the Chaos Emeralds? The Chaos Eggs, sorry.
No, there's only 6, so Infinity Stones.
Well, he sniped Firebrand, because Firebrand collected all of them, and then he was just like, yoink, mine, and now he has them. For reasons.
So we had the Sonic pulled on us.
Yeah, basically. But if
we are the bad guy.
Well, yes, actually, we are, because we're a literal demon. But
this guy's worse.
If you do want to play the Gargoyle games, they are significantly easier than Ghosts and Goblins, so they're a lot more accessible, despite being much less widely known. Although that doesn't mean they're easy; they're still hard, but they're much more approachable than Ghosts and Goblins.
But you know what, though? I love that because it makes sense. I mean, the biggest source of difficulty in the Ghosts and Goblins lineup was, in fact, the enemies. Dickhead number 3 over here being one of the prime examples of that. So when you flip the tables, it makes sense that the game is actually piss easy, because who can challenge you?
And I should stress, it's not piss easy. The games are still hard. They're just not Ghosts and Goblins hard. You know, they're like a reasonable difficult. You know.
Do you have any sort of other, like, 16-bit or 8-bit game you can compare it to difficulty-wise? Would you say it's easier or harder than Castlevania?
I'd say it's somewhere in between Castlevania 1 and 4 in terms of difficulty, I would say. Like, satisfying and tricky, and it will take you a lot of tries, but it doesn't feel impossible, is the thing. Also, I should say that even though the 5-minute, like, intro screen takes forever, I love this title screen. The music and the things coming off of the bat, it's fantastic. But anyway, Yeah, I'd say in between a Castlevania 4 and 1 would be a good place. Definitely much easier than Ghosts and Goblins. Not quite a Contra hard either. The big thing about it is that there's unlimited continues and checkpoints, and a password system. So the game, you can keep on trying as long as you want. The game doesn't force you to go back or lose your progress or anything like that.
Okay. Well, then I think the more apt comparison was, how would you think it compares to, say, Super Ghouls and Ghosts?
It's much easier than Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Okay.
It's still
Run
hard.
away! Run away!
Hey, you can fly, bitch. Fly.
Okay, so that's actually a change between this and the earlier games. In the earlier games, you had to upgrade your flight throughout the course of the game. In this game, you can fly and you can hover infinitely from the get-go. Also, you can easily stun lock this enemy if you don't screw up like I did.
Well, we're also apparently following Mega Man X territory, where the first boss is huge but piss easy.
Yeah, pretty much. Mega Man X is probably the best comparison for this game, honestly, because the levels, you can do them in any order you want. You have to go back in order to find extra hidden goodies or whatnot. I think the biggest difference between this and Mega Man X, though, aside from the aesthetics, is a lot of levels have multiple endings and multiple bosses. So there's a lot of non-linearity here. It's honestly, if you've ever played Shantae, you understand that you'll understand that this game is a huge influence for games like Shantae or Shovel Knight.
I don't know what was stopping this firebrand from just leaving. The guy clearly couldn't go anywhere.
He had a thingy. He had a thingy that we wanted, and we wanted to get it. That gives us more health. But yeah, so it's kind of weird. It's like a explorative Metroidvania.
Why are there
Mega Man
KKK
X
members here?
kind of stuff. I don't know. They're supposed to be ghosts, I think. Yeah, they're ghosts. They're only
Ghosts in the very basic sense.
Yeah.
Ghouls with bed sheets over their bodies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what quote from South Park I could use for that.
They're only in this one level, though. But yeah, I should mention this game is gorgeous, but it kind of suffers from they're trying to do too much syndrome, where the game looks really nice and the sprites are all really great and stuff, but whenever there's more than like 3 enemies on screen, the game lags. It lags a lot.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
I believe it. But lag aside, this does look really good.
Yeah,
for
it's
Super Nintendo.
This came out in, what, 95, I think?
94? 94 or 95. Pretty later half.
Yeah. 94 for us in Japan. PAL got it in March of 95.
I'm surprised
Gotcha.
PAL got it.
So middle of the road for Super Nintendo. So
No, I would say near the tail end, to be fair, because remember, Super Nintendo was 91.
Yeah, so...
yeah, but N64 didn't come out till 96, so it's not like it was like in development knowing the N64 was coming around. So
True. But the Ultra 64 was on its way.
But yeah, they knew what they were doing. It's just they tried to do a little bit too much. I mean, to be fair, people were still making SNES games until like 98 or so, if I remember correctly, because that's when I believe Kirby's Dream Land 3 came out, was 98?
No,
and Rockman and Forte.
No, I'm pretty sure Superstar
Yeah.
was late.
One of the Fire Emblem games came out really, really late into the SNES life cycle as well. Like, well into the Super Nintendo lifespan.
one of the many ones we didn't get.
Yeah. I think we're getting kind of close to having half of the main games, I suppose, in some way or another. So we're getting there someday, But yeah, the game is really cool in that there's multiple bosses in most levels. Actually, I think every level has at least 2 bosses. Most of the time, though, each boss is kind of specific to a certain path. The intro level...
So, Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, that is a good comparison. The only thing is that you can re-enter levels in this game because there's a world map screen. So...
It's just the first thing I think of considering the aesthetics.
Yeah, there is a lot of Castlevania vibes going on around here. More so than, I'd say, even Ghosts and Goblins, because Ghosts and Goblins never really came across as kind of... I know this isn't really scary, but... Gothic, I guess?
Gothic.
Yeah.
I was about to say Gothic.
Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins never really felt like that. It just kind of felt like a video game, aesthetically. Like, oh, you had your spooky level to start, but then, you had your ice level, fire level, whatever. Whereas this actually does feel like you're in hell. So, that works off. Also, this is the game's Proto Man, or at least he's trying to be. Plot, 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 plot. This game.
One day you too will be as powerful as I am.
Yeah, he's trying to be like Arma's trying to be like a Vile or a Proto Man, but while he's not really.
Where's his humongous mech?
Well, I don't know if he really needs a mech. He's a freaking demon, but
Yeah, but if he's going to be Vile, he needs the right armor.
Well, whatever. But he's actually honestly a lot harder than any of those guys, despite being not nearly as memorable. Because he likes to.
I know you seem to be having an easy time with him.
Well, here's the thing: he likes to hang up in the top of the screen where you can't get him because you.
But you have wings too.
Okay, so here's how the game works. How the game works is that you cannot get any more vertical height other than your standard jump height without a wall. You can hover, but you can't go back up. You have to wall climb and jump in order to get more vertical height. That's really one of the main things.
I know why that works for gameplay reasons, but it's just one of those. You have wings.
It makes more sense in the original games where your flight was limited, where it's just like, okay, you're not strong enough to fly straight up. And eventually, because this game likes to do transformations, which is where...
Oh, we got a Resident Evil Golden Egg.
Yeah, so we get, now we can do the ground gargoyle. And eventually we'll get an aerial gargoyle that can fly upwards. But... yeah, so the big thing about the platforming is that once you start hovering forward,
Bullshit. He's flying higher right now.
Shut up.
Yeah, checkmate.
And then to your left, you will see the airship for Final Fantasy VI.
I hope we're not trying to find that one mini boss that you have to wander around on the overworld to find. That took forever.
Doomgaze.
Oh yeah, him. He's really annoying. So anyway, this game even has its own, town area with, 3 different, this guy, when you find certain items called talismans, you can talk to him and find out what they do. Why the game can't just tell you what it does when you pick them up, that's beyond me, but whatever.
Well, he probably doesn't know what it does.
Oh, I suppose so. Firebrand isn't the brightest, just isn't the brightest.
He just has one objective, and that's kill.
Hey, you! I haven't seen you around here before. What, you're not gonna look at me when I talk to you?
Hey, how rude.
Yeah, but there's this whole town area where you can buy spells and potions and whatnot. Although you can't use spells or potions until you find parchments for spells and bottles for potions. Dude,
Is there a reason he has to headbang the door and to open it?
He's a fucking demon. It's so metal.
Don't waste money on spells. They're worthless. They all suck.
One death, please.
You will want to spend your money on potions, which is the shop above here. I'm not going to bother going in right now because I don't actually have a bottle, so I can't buy any potions. But the potions are great because they allow you to leave.
Time to go fetch all those cookers.
Yeah, you can heal yourself. You can leave areas. You can leave areas without having to beat the level. There's one that allows you to... there's one that gives you, auto life if you die. So basically, they kind of function as your E-tanks and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Also, this is the ground gargoyle. It can do a dash.
You see? It said you can play Mega Man X.
Sort of, I guess.
Mind you, this is significantly slower than X, but...
And a lot of lag.
Yeah. See, I'm telling you guys, the game lags like crazy. You can also do the Donkey Kong Country jump if you dash off of an edge. You can jump as long as you're still in the dash, which I've never liked because it doesn't make sense to me. But
you're a demon.
It's more of a it's less a gameplay thing and more of just a programming quirk.
But it bothers.
And would make sense if you still had the wings in this form, but you don't.
Yeah. So the big thing about the gargoyle form is that the dash can break certain objects, but you can't hover while you're in that mode is the big thing. Also, there's a weird thing about the game is that certain transformations do more or less damage to specific enemies. For example, the ground gargoyle's attack, when he's standing on the ground, it does more damage than the standard fire, but it also goes in this really weird arc, so it's hard to hit with. But
it's like napalm.
Knowing which gargoyle to use when makes some bosses a hell of a lot easier. Like the boss we're going to be fighting in this part, they all have names. I don't remember any of them because they're all really, really weird names, and they're also listed during the end credits, which is 10 minutes long, and I'm never paying attention during those anyway, even though I've beaten this game probably 10 times. So, yeah. This game is really fun to speedrun. Not that I can really do a speedrun of it, because like my fastest time is like just under 2 hours, and the world record's like 45 minutes. But
I know GDQ did one of the Gargoyles Quest games.
It was
once.
this one.
It was
Oh,
this one. Yeah, but I am actually following the speedrun route, so I'm not doing things in the intended order, which we'll be seeing later. Like this area I think is technically called level 2. I'm doing this pathway first, but I'm not going to do the second pathway in this level until like the end of the game. So, that's fun. But that's one of the things I love about this game a lot is that there's so many hidden things to explore. And you're allowed to go back to old levels with your new stuff. It really is not much of a surprise to me at all that way forward, a lot of the people behind Shantae and Shovel Knight were huge fans of Demon's Crest. Because if you look at those games after having played this, the influences become very clear. And also, this boss lags the game like nothing else because it has to break each individual part of the wall, shoving rocks out, and it takes forever.
That's a super ambitious detail for Super Nintendo, having it break apart the sides like that.
But it also takes like 20 seconds to get up.
It's like, oh man, it's so epic. Look at all this slowdown. I love action movies. No, you're an idiot. Slag.
So this boss actually gave me the hardest time when I was first playing the game because you have.
Well, you're trying to shoot them off screen. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. But one thing that I didn't know is that shooting, if you manage to get one of the eyeballs with the standing ground gargoyle shot, it does double the damage, which is helpful. Which is very helpful.
Very helpful.
It's not really showing because I'm not getting hit, but these guys do a lot of damage if they hit you. And this guy right here, the big eyeball, once it gets out of the jelly, the lime jelly, man, I could really go for some lime jello right about now. But when it hits you, it does a lot of damage. No, actually, no, it just does 1 damage.
I was going to say it only did 1 damage.
Oh, wait, okay, hold on. You only have
level
6 health. No, I don't think... There's only one form that lessens the amount of damage you take. I remember now. It's not the specific amount of damage it does. That's a later boss. It's that it's just very hard to dodge and also get shots in. So
you pretty much just war of attrition that fight where you kill it before it kills you.
Pretty much. That's the fastest way to do it is to, if you've got enough health, stand still and shoot standing ground gargoyle shots, and then it'll die eventually.
Because, like you said, the ground goyle shot does more damage. It's harder to hit with.
Yeah, because...
So we're trying to get to the fire crest, so what comparison... Is that the demon version of the fire emblem?
Sure, whatever.